How's it going, folks? We are sorry for the delay here at the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. We have had some technical difficulties, but right now to start, it's your boy Damon G, and you got Silly Celis. We think Will's somewhere about to be found, but we'll figure it out. We got some stuff to talk about. We got Saturday night's main event. Me of yesteryear kind of loves that. We got NXT Deadline that just happened, and Rey Fenix ain't happy. And you know what? When you're not happy, stuff goes down. We'll find out more what we're going to say here on the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast, and we start right now.
Big Gold Belt, 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 Big Gold Belt. All I really want is that Big Gold Belt, 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 Big Gold Belt. All I really need, that Big Gold Belt.
As you see in those last two stanzas, you got me, you got Silly Celis, Damon G here in the Lone Star State, the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things wrestling and whatnot. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something that's about to happen on Saturday that is reminiscent to a lot of our childhoods because we pushing it in these age brackets here, man. But WWE is doing something that is making childhood Damien very happy. And that is the relaunch of something called Saturday Night's Main Event. And kids, when I tell you, for all you youngsters out there, let old man Damien tell you, this was the show that you had to see that was a PLE or a pay-per-view style show.
Absolutely.
On regular network television, and it happened seasonally. It wasn't like, it happened, every 6 months or once every year. This typically happened every season, and it happened on NBC. So NBC in the Northeast, where I'm from, was Channel 4.
Oh,
and
yep.
And it typically started at like 10 o'clock at night. So you had to stay up past your bedtime, kids, to watch. Typically, from what I remember, you had Hulk Hogan appearing on the show. You had Macho Man. You had Andre the Giant, $1 Million Man. All these people that you didn't see except on pay-per-view, but you had real matches. So think about Monday Night Raw, but as rare as once a season. Because back then, all you had was Wrestling Challenge and WWF Superstars, and it was jobber versus main person. So we got this coming back, and I see Will backstage.
Will's back in. Like, you should see him backstage. He's like, I'm here.
We're going to bring him back. We're going to add him to the stage. Hey, Will, how's it going?
Talk.
Can you all hear me? I
can't. Yeah, Will is back. So.
Oh, no. I can't hear you all there.
But we can hear you.
Yeah. All right. We're going to push Will back to the side until we can figure out what's going on.
No, I got it.
He's
Perfect.
here. He's here.
Oh, my God. I have no idea what happened. I am sorry, guys.
Oh, it's fine. So, Will, I was just leading the audience into Saturday night's main event. What it was, the fact that it was a PLE before, a PLE was a thing. It was the equivalent of us staying up past our bedtime to watch Monday Night Raw because all we had was Challenge and Superstars. So it was like jobber versus main guy. So here you had actual main eventers or high-level mid-carders going at it on regular television.
Exactly.
Channel 4 for us in the Northeast. So I'm excited. How excited are both of you on a scale of 1 to 10 about the return of Saturday night's main event?
Well, did you want to go first? Or you want me to jump on it?
Salas, you go first while I'm getting my bearings here.
So good. Well, welcome, Will. So we got a trifecta going. So I would say I am very excited because this, for me, Damien, this is something that I kind of grew up. Now, my family is from North Carolina. I grew up in the DMV area. So when you talk about Channel 4, that is NBC all day for you. You got your 4, 5, 7, 9. But growing down to North Carolina when it's like for family reunions or seeing your grandmother, Christmas time, and happy holidays for those that are here, this was when I get to have conversations with my aunt. And what we used to do is sit and watch Saturday night's main event. And this is when she talked about, the comparisons of how Saturday night main event was. And then when I got a little older, how it came to Monday Night Raw and the differences and even the stuff like with the chair shots and the blood and stuff like that. Right. It was just old school for me. down south wrestling at that time. And I loved every aspect of it. So this, when you talk about, people that are in their late 30s, early 40s, or even approaching 50, this is the time where you see nostalgia at its best. The thing that I want to see here, if it's done well, because now this is on network TV, this is not on Peacock. Well, probably be on Peacock NBC, but this is on NBC. This is not a streamer. This is not on an app. Is this going to be a new premium live event that's on network TV now? Is it going to be once a year when we see this? Are we going to see this maybe once a quarter? I'm excited to see how they're going to do this, to see if it's going to be more of a premium live event versus a typical house show. And I hope the production value for this Saturday can build it up for a premium live event, because this used to be what people look forward to watch on the weekends.
Go ahead, Will.
All right, I can clarify some details there as for what they got planned here, but to start out with where we originally were saying, I'm excited about this. And it's interesting because I'm remembering the last go around of Saturday night's
Yes.
and that last go around in the 2000s wasn't all that.
It was not.
It was just like another show. It happened to be on network TV, but it was lacking the sizzle. It needed something extra because, as you were saying earlier, Damian, the draw of Saturday night's main event back in the day was, oh my God, you're going to see people actually wrestle other people. You're going to see Hulk Hogan versus Big Boss Man. You're going to see Brutus Beefcake versus Honky Tonk Man, stuff like that. You were going to see names versus names. The stuff you would normally only see at the house shows or on, your quarterly pay-per-views.
Correct.
Saturday night's main event was a big deal because of that. But in this day and age, names versus names, that's any darn wrestling show you see. So it needs something more than that. So this time around, what I'm excited about is it seems they learned that lesson. And they're treating this very much as like, this is the December pay-per-view. Because we don't have a December pay-per-view. This is the December pay-per-view that we're going to have on Saturday night on your NBC networks and streaming live on Peacock. Since you're mentioning we're going to be on the apps too. They're doing it simulcast. So they're going to have it on Peacock. Do we want to talk about the matches yet? Or
we can.
Yep, we can go right into it.
No, let's get to this then. What they got lined up here. So as to add to the idea of they're treating this as a big show. So we're gonna have the tournament final.
Not that big show. Not that big show.
Not that big show. Not the Paul White big show. We're gonna have the tournament final for the women's U.S. Championship, which will be Bayley or Chelsea Green versus Michin or Tiffany Stratton, depending how that shakes out on SmackDown this week. Liv Morgan will defend the women's world title against Io Sky. We'll have a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship with Gunther versus Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. Our only non-title match on the show, Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre, which is very much a grudge match coming off of Survivor Series. So that's a hot one too. And last but not least, number 5, the big one. People were at Survivor Series like, why are they having a title match on Survivor Series? Because they saved it for this. They saved it for Saturday night's main event, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Championship. So it's a tight 5-match show, just like we've been getting on our pay-per-views, loaded with title matches. No filler on here at all. So they're coming loaded for bear. And I very much get the feeling they want people to note. They want people to tune in and take notice. So I think all bets are off as far as like how crazy they're going to go with this. I mean, I think for this to work, this has to be a big deal. This has to be newsworthy. This has to be eventful. It's got to be like back in the day where it was like Hogan's taking on Boss Man in the steel cage, and they're going to throw that superplex spot in there. So everyone at school was talking about it come Monday. They got to go all out on this. Otherwise, it's just another show. It's just, it's an episode of Raw that happens to be on NBC. If they want this to be big, it's got to be newsworthy. So, I don't know. Thoughts on the card?
So the card. Go ahead, Damon. You first.
To that thought, Will, the card itself, I'm thinking of like, okay, what's going to be the thing that really sets this apart, and changes it from, like you were saying, maybe like a B tier pay-per-view to be Saturday night's main event. I know it's not going to happen. I would love to see Kevin Owens screw Cody Rhodes out of the title to make it must see.
Good sir. it's not gonna happen. I think there's a damn good chance it is gonna happen.
And that's what I got my money, hopefully. So 2 things. The card itself, I'll say this is exactly the kind of card you should have because there's intrigue with every single match.
Absolutely.
There's no filler, there's no throwaway stuff. It's like you got the finals of the women's US title tournament. And from day one, what did we say the last 2 should be, right? Michin hopefully against Chelsea Green, and hopefully this is the culmination and the coronation of one Miss Chelsea Green. And I can't wait because she's gonna just go over the top with it. But Cody versus Kevin, aka Kevin Owens, was right. And I cannot wait to see if that happens for him to say, I told you so, as he deservedly, because that man has been a linchpin for WWE programming for going on 5 years now. Like, there's been moments when Brock wasn't around, Roman wasn't around, Cena wasn't around, KO, it was the KO show, right? He was carrying pay-per-views against the Bloodline for what felt like 10 years. And it was always KO. And this would be his crowning moment because, like Drew McIntyre, who feels like he's been wronged, KO has been wronged worse than anybody else, according to him. So if he wins this title, all the pride of Maribel, Quebec, Canada is going to be very excited, along with yours truly from Texas, because KO deserves it, and I'm really looking forward to it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I think the card is a solid 8. I think the only issue for me would be they're rushing Drew versus Sammy. Because obviously they had to move some things up because Bronson Reed got hurt. Because if you read the reports, it was supposed to be Bronson Reed versus Sammy as he battled individual members of the Bloodline, but he got hurt. So now we insert Drew and move things up a little bit more. So 8 out of 10, looking forward to the card.
Okay, so for me, this is something a little small thing because once again, it's on NBC and like you said, streaming on Peacock as well. I want them to be strategic in how they place the commercials. I don't want the commercials to come in between matches like it is a Raw or SmackDown. Now, you can do all your commercials and stuff like that in between the matches and things of that nature, but I don't want it to come in the middle of the match. When you have these authentic matches like your World Heavyweight title, that triple threat, or your WWE title, what's going to happen between Cody and Kevin Owens, nothing needs to be interrupted during that time. I will even like a little old classic phrase. This is going to be commercial free for the rest of the time that we're not going to break up this match until we have a winner. I want to hear some classic throwbacks on that. But once again, I know the question was the matches, but I would just want to frame how these matches are going to be. I got to agree with everything that you said, Damian. And the one thing that came to me is this. If Kevin Owens wins, I want him to do a Hard Times promo. And that goes back to the time when you look at some of when he was still Kevin Steen at the time and he just got into NXT, and you see some of those old promo videos that he was doing that Dusty just loved that he was doing during that time during promo class. I would love to see him in the show with something like that would be mimicking the type of effect like you had when Austin 316 when he won King of the Ring. I think when you end the show on something like that, I think that will be the icing on the cake if Kevin wins. And I wouldn't be upset at some point if you did a double switch. Not only if Kevin wins, Cody becomes a heel, and maybe Kevin becomes that tweener face now that you see that switch goes in this type of this title match. So once again, I hope it's booked correctly. I'm going to just stand back and let Triple H do his magic when it comes to that. But I'm hoping it's guiding and what you can do to build up Kevin Owens, even if it's a short-term reign that ends at the Royal Rumble.
Right.
Now, you were talking about throwbacks. They're definitely doing some throwbacks here, and they're making that a big part of the marketing here.
Yep.
So they had already announced earlier this week that Jesse the Body Ventura will be on commentary, doing a color. I don't know if he's doing the whole show, but he's at least going to be there for part of it. We'll see how that works out. But Jesse the Body Ventura from back in the day will be part of the announce team for this. The other tease they dropped just yesterday was Triple H presented Cody Rhodes with a case, much like we saw those Crown Jewel championships in. And he had him open it up and made a big deal about, now look, this is special for this week for Saturday night's main event. You know, part of the whole old school appeal we're doing here. one night only. This is yours. And they didn't show you what was in it. But Cody looked very impressed when he opened it up and it glowed and all this. It was golden and all. Do you think for one night only, for Saturday night's main event, they're going to do like Cody did back in the day with the Intercontinental title? You think they're going to bring back the Winged Eagle?
The Winged Eagle?
One night?
Ooh.
You know what? They should. They really
That's what I'm
should.
hoping. That's the speculation. That's what people are hoping, that Cody will come out with the Winged Eagle for one night only.
Oh.
Which will just make, if Kevin Owens pulls it off, it'll just make things even more sweeter for Kevin to pull that off.
Yeah.
And also, because KO, when he's working heel, he has a very old school style.
100%.
When he works heel, but he adds the nuances of, let's say, talking trash to the crowd, talking trash to the person he has in the reverse chin lock when he's like screaming out chin lock, like things like that.
Yes.
So it would be perfect for KO to have the Winged Eagle belt as we close the first Saturday night's main event of the new era of WWE. And I just caught that. I just looked up. Next month, there's another one in San Antonio, Texas. So I will be at that one. Damn.
Yeah. The plan was, when they signed up for these, NBC gave them these. The idea was they would be quarterly. But they're basically doing it like this, where they're supposed to be for a year, but with the way NBC's schedule is, it's pretty much when NBC wants one, they're going to
get one. They'll get one.
So it's pretty much NBC's calling the shots. So they are coming back real quick. Next one will be the weekend before the Royal Rumble. So it's going to be the timing there is going to be kind of weird, but this is very much NBC is calling the shots, not WWE. So we might have 3 months after that before we see another, who knows?
But then again, you still got this lull time in TV now because, of course, sports is dominating Christmas season when you're talking about what's going to be on Netflix for now, what's going to be on ESPN, what's going to be on ABC. NBC is like, okay, we ain't got no more Notre Dame football. All our main TVs are going away because they're going on their Christmas break. Let's do something with this wrestling to see if we can get this popping again, because we like to see where this is going. So that may be a cause right there, Will. So good point.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I guess other than we talked about the matches, we really ran on Cody and Kevin Owens. Any other thoughts on any of these other matches? We have the 3-way with Gunther. We got Liv and Io. Those are kind of more run of the mill, probably just matches for the sake of matches. But
I know why they're doing this triple threat, but I don't like this Gunther, Priest and
they're
Finn
testing
Balor
him out. They're testing Gunther out as a potential face run.
Yes,
because right now they got him on some. They're seeing what the audience thinks, because I'll say this about Finn Balor: New Japan Finn Balor is long gone.
Yes,
the little shit version of Finn Balor is the perfect version of Finn Balor, who's like, it should have been me. Like whiny Owen Hart Finn Balor is the best version of Finn Balor. So if he's there just to take the pin to let Damian Priest still be strong, but also to see if Gunther can work face, I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Because we need. Here's the thing: Gunther's what, 6'4", 240. If you take away the fact that he's from Austria and his name is Gunther, he is a prototypical WWE/F size to be a babyface of the company. If you really wanted to go there. He just happens to be the evil foreigner gimmick. Like, let's just be real here.
Yes.
So why not test to see, like, okay, Finn's an asshole, but he's a bigger asshole than Gunther is. So Gunther's going to be chopping the hell out of Balor, and the crowd's going to love it. And also planting seeds inevitably for the breakup of Kaiser and Gunther, because Kaiser can be a really good heel on his own because he's got that face like the Miz. You want to hit him in the face, right?
Yep.
And he's with Tiffany Stratton, so if he wants to play that up too, that's going to make a lot of people angry.
Yep.
So why not break up Imperium and just have Gunther especially if he's going to SmackDown and the Tribal Chief's going over to Raw. We might need a face Gunther for SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm hoping to break up any monotony, and I'll leave on this. I'm just winning in on a cash-in attempt. Will Tiffany try to cash
Y'all been
in
calling that for weeks.
on Saturday? They all did it in the cage, and I told y'all about that. I said,
yes.
They do it in the cage, and they teased it, and I almost jumped out of my chair. But for Saturday night's main event, will they tease another cash in with Tiffany Stratton with the briefcase, especially if she loses to Michin?
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see a cash in. And like, it's like every opportunity. I want her to cash in before Mania. I think it'll be impactful for her having a belt at Mania, but we're just trying to figure
Agreed.
out when that perfect time is to do it before Mania. We've seen it last year when you cash in at Mania. We don't need to see that again. I think the Saturday night main event or something that's a Raw, a SmackDown, maybe the first Raw of on Netflix. I don't know, but it's something that has to be a big impactful show that I think will bring a huge splash and effect to it. I really do.
Yeah. If they're not doing it here, maybe that next Saturday night's main event is the spot. So I figure they got to have everything in the world planned for that Netflix Raw debut. And if they, hell, I think here's the deal. If they're not going to do, if they do Cody and Kevin and they actually do the switch, they don't need to do anything else crazy on this show because that will be the big story coming out of it. So if you're going with Kevin Owens winning the title, don't do the cash in here. Save it for something else. If Cody's going to retain, then you might want to do the cash in. That would be something to throw on this show as something extra. This show needs that cherry on top. It does. Extra intangible. So people will be like, oh, these matter. This is important. This isn't just another 2 hours of wrestling. There's something big's going to happen on it. So
absolutely.
That's the thing. It needed to be must-see TV, like you said, well, at the beginning. It has to, SME needs to be, I need to tune in. I can't miss this. Yes. So you need something to whet the appetite to bring people in. And I think a title change from anybody would be one of the things like, oh, maybe I need to see these going forward. There'll be a title change. Unlike, and I'll say it, unlike AEW's Battle of the Belts, this could be WWE's version of Battle of the Belts where titles actually do change hands.
Yeah.
They were definitely back in the day more similar to WCW's Clash of the Champions. When they had those specials. They were definitely more on par with that because they didn't happen every month. They filled in like the months where you didn't have a pay-per-view. So yeah, it's got to be on par with that. It's got to have the extra spice to it. It needs that extra sizzle for it to matter. So all right, I think we've covered Saturday night's main event. We'll definitely be talking about that next week. Damian, you want to drive or do you want me to handle things? I'm here. Your call.
I mean, we still got some time before the break. I'll drive a little bit more. So sticking with NXT, WWE, we had NXT Deadline this past weekend that happened on a Saturday, mind you. I'm loving this. I'm loving these early Saturday pay-per-views. Thank you very much. I'm just going to say, because y'all know me, I'm the women's wrestling aficionado / big fan. The Iron Survivor match was my favorite match on the card. Not because of who won, not even because of the action that we saw during the actual event. It made a new star. In my opinion, a star by losing a lot.
I know who you're talking about.
Miss Ren Sinclair.
Yes, sir.
She fell into it, literally, fell into the match. She took 90% of the pins on that match. But the crowd loved her. They were chanting her name. People on social media were like, holy crap, who's Ren Sinclair? Obviously, we know her from, Ms. Rakowski on the Indies. But man, I did not expect that groundswell of support for her like that. Because now, for me, she's the face of the No Quarter Catch crew. Forget Charlie Dempsey and company. She's the face of that. So I'll say that. Like, for me, the whole event was good, but you crowned a new superstar. And if you play your cards right, she could be your face in peril. Because, we have Julia, we have Stephanie, and we have all these strong female baby faces, right? Like these ass kickers. Why not have like the Sami Zayn underground person that comes from below to secure a win, old 1, 2, 3 kid style, back Monday Night Raw versus Razor Ramon. So that was the biggest thing that came out for me from the event, was the fact that we made a new star in her, and y'all need to take this on for real.
So let me ask you this, Damon, just to piggyback off of that. For Sinclair, would you say this was similar to what Elimination Chamber last year did for Tiffany Stratton?
No,
Hmm.
because I would say Tiffany Stratton was already on the Pardon the Pun stratosphere on the
Yep.
way up.
Yep.
She was just an add-on into this match that again got lucky because she
Yep.
caught a back fist and fell into the pin.
Got it.
So, and then I don't want to call her Santino, but I feel like this was that Santino version of Elimination Chamber when he got all the way up to wrestling Bryan at the end, thinking,
it.
"Oh, wait a minute, we might have a fluke title change here."
Got it.
This could be. I don't want her to be the next Santino. I want her to be their next Sami Zayn, and I
Got
think
it.
this is possible with the performance. Ren Sinclair. Oh shucks, I got eliminated. Oh, I got to go back to the penalty box.
Yep.
But the crowd could not take their eyes off her. And that is with a group that had Julia and Stephanie Vaquer in the match, and Zarya and Sol Ruka, who people are saying needs to be on the main roster tomorrow.
Heavy
So
hitter.
you know what? Bravo to her.
And I think when you think about these gimmick matches, and I'll say gimmick matches, I mean that with all respect. When you think about the Money in the Bank, when you think about Elimination Chamber, when you think about the Iron Survivor, that's what they're supposed to do, right? They're supposed to build new stars either by accident or, on purpose. I think you're supposed to build it up that way. And I'm going to throw some male comparison to it. Just another one reference for you, Damian and Will. What about Shelton Benjamin and the Money in the Bank match? Like, is that the reason why, Money in the Bank became popular? Because Shelton Benjamin had some great spots for it. Maybe it wasn't planned, but it was the fact that, oh man, he did some things where people loved it. So, or Kofi Kingston with Royal Rumble matches. So it's like, it's things that you want to have the setup for these stars. And I think you might have a new star with that. But I think this is what the gimmick matches are supposed to be for. Make a moment for them so that way you can see how you can put them on that trajectory to be at least a mid-card star or main event star, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Those standout little special moments is how they are. When I was watching that match and she started stealing the show and getting the crowd behind her, the way I put it online was Ren Sinclair is out here making her case to be Chelsea Green's understudy. Very similar in a lot of ways, where she was maximizing those minutes, throwing her little temper tantrums, being stuck in the penalty box. Like, she made every little situation she was in matter. She made her the center of all those little things. So at the end, when she finally got out of there with seconds left and managed to get like a pinfall in that final minute, that crowd was like over the moon for her. It's like she wasn't going to win the damn match, but she made damn sure she made an impression. So now Ren Sinclair is going places. Very excited to watch her. Yeah, the Iron Survivor matches, like we talked about last week on the show when Crab was here, him and me. That's not by far. I think it's the best new gimmick match in a long time. It's just such a unique deal. I like that it's only 25 minutes, so there's not time to like mess around. They got to keep the pace moving. It's such a perfect gimmick match. Yeah, we talked about the women's one a lot. I like that they had Obafemi show up in the men's one and crash the party as like the mystery entrant and like wreak havoc and just lay everybody out. So they're giving Obafemi that rocket, which got his 2025, I'm sure is going to be really damn interesting to watch. Looking at the rest of the card here, that darn NXT Underground match, that one was a little rough around the edges for me. And I like Jada Parker and I like Lola Vice and I like the NXT Underground gimmick, but I don't like it with a whole bunch of shenanigans involved, and you're gonna have a brick in it that's able to bounce. It was a little too WCW for me. That it was just, they overthought it. They tried to get too fancy and just, that was a rough out.
Let me ask this about Jada Parker. Will, real quick, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they have some like fans stand at ringside? They bought them out before the match.
Oh yeah, they had all kinds. There was all kinds of
stand at ringside.
Indie stars around the ring beating on the mat and everything. Oh, yeah.
There were some
recognizable faces on there.
It reminded me of Wrestle Circus, where the fans would come up during like main event matches and start banging on the apron. And I'm thinking, even if you guys are plants, this looks stupid. I think that took away from the match, especially when they used the couple of the wrestlers, the people at stage, as props. To break a hold. How are you breaking a hold in a no holds barred match? That makes no sense. And like Will said, the bouncing brick, I'm over it. Over the bouncing brick.
Yes, no more brick.
Just a small note. Jada Parker, I love her to death, but do you think you're getting to the point where she's losing some momentum, or just NXT/WWE doesn't know what to do with her at this time where she needs to make a move?
I think she is still a work in progress.
Got it.
I think she's got tons of potential,
Yep.
but I don't think she's ready for a move yet. I think she still needs she needs more time. She just needs reps. A lot of these folks in NXT right now, they're good for NXT, but I think they need experience. And I'm so glad now that NXT is out of the Performance Center on a regular basis. They'll be in Lowell, Massachusetts this week. They had the Deadline show was in Minneapolis, so it's like getting them out of there in front of different crowds. Some of these folks, they just need the time in the ring and the time in front of the cameras. Yep. And she'll get I think she'll get there. I'm not worried about her, but I'm also not sitting here being like, oh, it's time they're doing this transfer portal, time to move her up. No, not her.
Yep.
There's other people there to move up, and she's not quite there yet. We mentioned Sol Ruka earlier. Sol might be ready. She might be the one to make a move.
And I'll say this. I thought that match, the underground match, I think that was more of a bad sign for Lola Vice, more so than Jada Parker, because I felt Lola got exposed during the match. It's supposed to be her match, but her selling did nothing for me. It still needs work, and we've talked about it. This was a way to show people where they really are at. So a lot of people were saying, oh, Lola's ready, Jada's ready for the next step. That match showed that they're not ready. And like you said, well, this is a good litmus test to be like, nah, you still got to be in NXT a little bit longer. I know people are saying the Trick versus Rich Holland match didn't really move the bells for anybody either. I've been inclined to agree with that. I don't see what WWE sees in Rich Holland. Like, the thing he's got going for him is kill Chase U. And he broke Big E's neck. Aside from that, nothing to write home about. So I like you said, Will, I like now that we know where people are from the big stage and if they can handle the move up. And if not, they get the more reps. So Ruka hitting that backflip, handspring, don't even touch the rope plancha that I thought only Charlotte Flair could do.
Right.
And someone called it somebody on social media told me to go watch some great Sasuke.
Yeah, it's all great Sasuke spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, Soul's got that. Okay, good.
They're doing some tape study, clearly. They're doing some tape study.
She knows what she's doing. HBK said, go watch this. Go watch this.
There you go.
But no, I'm glad, and I'll dovetail it this way. This is the perfect showing for NXT to let the audience know who's got next, pardon the pun, but it also shows them backstage, you need a little bit more refinement. So this is great. This is great for me.
There you go. All right, let's hit halftime. We made it through the first half of the show with a bumpy start, but we're getting it done, folks. Your Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast is making its way through the night. So here's what we're doing. We're going to go to halftime. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the WWE ID program. We usually do our ID spotlight, and I got a little something different planned for that this week. Since Giant Crab is not here with us tonight, I'll handle those duties. Then after that, we're going to talk about Rey Fenix versus AEW. A whole situation going on there. So an interesting second half coming up, folks. Stay with us. Your Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast will be back right after this.
A little birdie told me, everybody, that you may be interested in doing some sponsorship and advertising opportunities with us here at Big Gold Belt Media. You know what? You might as well, because we are the golden standard for all of your media needs. Why would you want to go anywhere else? Besides, all of your pre-roll ads, your mid-roll ads, as well as your on-air reads are going to be done by me, Damian G. Yeah, professional broadcaster, Damian G. We do all types of social media promotions. That means your podcast, your IG, your Facebook, your Twitter, and your business website all get shouted out on our network here at Big Gold Belt Media, where we cover wrestling, movies, comics, and more. And you can find out more information and make those inquiries, kids, because, limited time offer here at biggoldbeltgroup@gmail.com. Again, that is biggoldbeltgroup@gmail.com. Why would you want to go anywhere else? I wouldn't. Well, I work here, but I still wouldn't even if I didn't. So again, Big Gold Belt Media for all your sponsorship and advertising opportunities, your podcast, your IG, your Facebook, your Twitter, all of your social media platforms, as well as any business website you want us to promote on our show. BigGoldBeltGroup@gmail.com, and let them know Damon G sent you.
Welcome back, folks, to your Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. We're so glad you're here with us tonight. It's been an evening with these technical difficulties I had to battle to get on the air, and I still don't know quite what happened with them, but I am glad you are here with us, and I'm glad I'm here with you, because it's Thursday night, the week's almost over, so it has been a trip this evening, for sure. Normally, this time of the night, Giant Crab would take the reins, and we would do our WWE ID Spotlight segment. So we're going to do that, but we're going to do it a little bit different this week, because most of the people we've seen so far in the spotlight are, up and coming indie talent, people we don't know a lot about. We've been talking about how like they're announcing these names, and then you go to their Twitter and they'll have like the sizzle reel ready there, so you can get an idea of who they are and kind of learn about it. As this has gone on, a week or two back, I guess it was right before Thanksgiving, this dropped, and we never got the chance to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it tonight. They threw us a curveball. They threw us a name that is familiar, a name that we know. And I was like, oh, this spotlight thing might be a little bit different depending on, I guess, the situation. So we've never got around to talking about this. Gentlemen, thoughts on Kylie Ray getting the WWE ID spotlight treatment? Because this was definitely, I don't know if people were expecting this as someone they would be like, oh, we're going to give you this. You're someone that is going to get the ID treatment, even though you've been around forever. You had a were signed with the competition out of the gate when they started up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Davey, I'm going to go to you first, because she's a very unique case here.
She is, and I'm glad Crab's not here, because he would have left the room by now. I actually like this, because she has wrestled for all the major promotions. She has wrestled for Impact, or now TNA. She's wrestled on AEW. She's done the indie. She's done the world tour, like Street Fighter 2, right? She's done the world circuit. The next step for her would have been to be in WWE. Now, I know that as someone who's a mental health advocate and has gone through his own struggles with mental health, I understand a lot of people's concern that she's not mentally prepared, not me saying it, this is what the fandom has said, to be part of this program, or that she's too seasoned to be a part of this program. I say she's the perfect person to bring on. Here's why. You need someone for all these other ID people or these next in line people to work with in NXT that knows how to work a match, who knows how to work the comic spots, the chain wrestling, the hope spot, can get a heel over by being the babyface in peril. I think her career can solidify the fact that we need a good hand in the ring. I'm not trying to minimize, her for that, saying that's all you're going to be good for. But it's like the equivalent of bringing Candice LeRae onto WWE programming. You need someone that's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and is not afraid to just be someone to get somebody else over, to just plug and play. I think Kylie Ray is the perfect plug and play person to bring in that's not a next in line athlete. She's been around, she's done it, and by all accounts, she's got her stuff in order. She just became a mom recently, so there's a level of maturity that some people are saying, like, this is at 32 years old, this is her chance. She deserves it. I know Crab, if he was like, he'd throw a table and flip it over, but I have followed her career when she was like an evolving Pokemon way back in the indie scene. She deserves this chance. She can carry a good match, and I think that's an invaluable piece to something like a Triple H or a Shawn Michaels-led wrestling program, to be that steady hand. So I'm glad she got the eyeball on her.
You know what, Damien, as I was thinking, I was wondering how I was going to answer this question, and you gave me some reference, which I totally agree, where this is like Natalya becoming a world champion in WWE for some of the up-and-comers at that time. This is like a Kevin Garnett coming back to the Minnesota Timberwolves to mentor Cat at that time, who's now with the Knicks. This is more like Brian Danielson, formerly Brian Danielson, yes, going as Daniel Bryan in NXT, of somebody that is a recognizable face that may be able to help build up those other members of that original NXT line. And I think you hit it perfectly, because even though you want these up and comers, you need that veteran locker room present in a mix of these rookies per se, and these green wrestlers to help build them up and with some credibility, and they would work. But also look out for that veteran for the time that they've done throughout multiple companies. I don't have a problem with it. I really like what you say, Damien, because it's hard to go against it. The only thing is this: I think if she's doing this, she needs to get some value when she makes that main roster or becomes on Raw, SmackDown, whatever the case is in that women's division, where she gets the gratitude for what she's doing now for the company as it helps build those other wrestlers. You got to give her that due factor or that award factor to help give her that. Maybe it's a coaching job. Maybe it's you become a coach like Serena Deeb does in AEW. Whatever the case may be, but something that you can help with that, just to solidify. Like, we appreciate what you've done in this business. We appreciate what you're going to do to build them up. Now let's reward you for what you can do.
Yeah. I think the big part that jumped out at me, and it was kind of the elephant in the room, where people are like, well, who knows what happened, with her leaving AEW. There's that whole cloud surrounding that. And, the concerns about her personal life and all this. And when I saw them announce this, I was just like, you know what? This makes a lot of sense from both sides. Where it's like, we got this new thing now, this new designation we're doing, where it's like, look, we're not going to go all the way to go with the idea of like, we're bringing you down to Florida, putting you in the warehouse, with all the other folks. Let's have you, if you're working on the indies, let's have you keep doing what you're doing, but make it clear that we have an interest. We're going to keep an eye on you. We're going to invest in you like they're doing with all these people. And let's just kind of, we're going to dip our toe in this. And this is your chance also to be in our system and see how it feels for you. And for both sides, I think it's that perfect first step to see if they're comfortable with each other. And then if it works out, great. And then if it doesn't, no harm, no foul. Zero. She's still working the indies. They're not pulling her off the road. So I think it's a great way of using it. And I think it opens the door now to a lot of different people. Everyone's thinking, oh, they're only going to be interested in young, up-and-coming indie guys. Like, no, this makes it clear. If you're someone who may be a little longer in the tooth, or maybe, you've been on the road a while, or you've been out of the business for a bit, there might be a road here for you. There might be a path here for you. There might be a role here for you where you can still do this thing and come in through this ID program where you'll find there's a place. There's different ways they could utilize this. It doesn't need to all be hot, young, up-and-coming talent. It can be people who've been around a long time and haven't had an opportunity, or they've had opportunities and they just didn't work out, or who knows. To me, the big thing was just, it changes my whole perspective of what this program could be. So the people who are just be like, oh, she's too, she should be on NXT TV already. It's like, that's not what this is about.
No,
it's not about should she be on TV. It's about right now. Let's see if does she want this? Does she fit into this? It's a way to give everything a try without making the huge commitment for either side. And that's the thing I remember here. Maybe she's more comfortable with this. Like I said, she's not a kid. She doesn't want to move to Orlando.
Nope.
That's just it. It's like, this works out. There's benefits for both sides in this.
Correct.
This isn't all it's about, WWE doesn't have any confidence in her, but they'll give her a shot. It's like, you're not thinking of the whole picture here.
Correct.
Clearly, there's an interest on both sides. This is the way to, it's an appetizer. We'll see how it goes. And then from here, who knows? Like I said, me and Crab talked about this last week. It's like, there's essentially now two paths to Orlando. If you're an indie wrestler, if you're doing the indie grind, you got the ID program. They've got their network of schools. They're going to have you doing that. If you're on the flip side of it, if you're the college athlete, if you're the NIL scout, something like that, those are the folks that are going to put right down in Orlando with the idea that we're going to train you from the ground up. Yeah. The folks that are on the indies, they're like, nah, we don't need you down here taking up space in Orlando. Keep doing your thing. Work with some of our accredited schools that we're comfortable with, and you can be doing that. And eventually we'll bring you in here. But Orlando now is really all about building people from the ground up that are already athletes. That's what the Orlando stuff is about at this point. So yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on it? I think it's really interesting that they picked her up.
And the way you broke it down, well, it made me think about the NBA right now, how they have this thing called two-way contracts.
100%.
You can work the G League, which is the minor league affiliate, or you can work on the main team, right? It's like taking the shuttle in baseball, AAA up to the main roster, to the big leagues. For her, like we said, to dip her toe in the water and see like, okay, I can handle this. If she gets that call, we can see no harm, no foul, like a 10-day contract, no harm, no foul. If it doesn't work out, that's great. And I honestly think this is a little caveat I did not expect WWE to do when it came to recruiting talent, like saying, hey, even though we got our eye on you, that doesn't mean you got to commit to us. We're just letting everyone know that you're one of those people that we see a future in and could be useful to us and to NXT, to just let the rest of the world know that. Who knows what the real agreements are behind the scenes, but now that's going to give people more of an eyeball on Kylie Ray, and then they're going to know, okay, she was in AEW. Oh, she did work at Impact and TNA. Oh, this is someone they should bring on. And like you said, well, that may inspire older, and by older, I mean people who have been in indie wrestling for a while, or even international for a while, to say, maybe I can give this WWE thing a shot without selling my soul to be part of WWE. So I like it. Always around. I like it.
There you go. All right. That's it. It worked out. When Crab not here this week, is like, I wanted to talk about this. It was such a different pick, but he was never gonna bring her up for the spotlight. So I was like,
well, because you remember when we brought it up in our group chat, he was the first person to be like, oh my God.
Yeah. So we got it in there. I wanted to get that one in there because that definitely sets the tone that different stuff can happen with the spotlight. So it's gonna be interesting how the ID program works as this keeps going. All right. Let's switch gears. Enough WWE talk, enough NXT talk and all that. Let's switch gears to AEW because we were talking about, drama at the workplace. And we're talking about, it's an ongoing theme when we talk at the Jacksonville office a lot. But this is a whole different ball of wax. And we were just talking about Kylie Ray with the whole, does this work for both sides and all this, and like having a comfortable situation here? This has been a interesting deal. We've been talking for a while about the Lucha Brothers and just what's going on with them. And there was all the talk about, Pentagon's deal's going to be up. And as we're sitting here now, the rumor is his deal is up. He's free and clear. He could be doing whatever. And there's been the rumors forever about Rey Fenix. And he's been hurt. They're not going to let him go. They're going to extend his contract. Tony's going to make him stay. And no matter how much time, could it be? Is it months? Is it half a year? Could it even be a full year? What's going on with all this deal? And then this past week, it got hairy. It got interesting. Rey Fenix has stuff to say.
I got a lot to say.
He got stuff to say. He is clearly not happy. He is clearly not happy, and he's trying to make some statements without totally making some statements, but the statements he is making are strong. So I'm just going to throw these out here. They've since been deleted from Twitter, but these, when we used to talk about the Flamin' Hot Topics podcast, this is definitely Flamin' Hot Topic type material. So the first one he dropped was on December 7th. December 7th, the afternoon, December 7th, he dropped, "No one stays in a place where they received inhumane treatment." Inhumane. Very.
It's a strong word.
Strong
powerful word there.
Yes.
Really, that is not a mild word to use there. So he said that on December 7th. And then, actually, I asked the dates on these. Actually, no, that was December 7th. Then 2 days later, on December 9th, he follows it up with, "I needed a doctor and you ignored me for months."
Oh, no.
So we know the stories about him being injured. We know that was supposedly part of the deal, that there was injuries involved. That's supposedly why the contract is being extended. But Rey Fenix is not being shy about putting this out there. He is definitely trying to advocate for himself. And of course, people would pushing it, say some more. And he's been clear about, he made another tweet basically saying, when I'm contractually able to, I have a lot more to say.
Right.
So he clearly wants to talk. He's clearly unhappy. He's straight up saying inhumane treatment. Here's my question for you guys. Here's my question. And I just keep going back. As this thing keeps, the story's been going on for months. It's not going away.
No.
And it seems like the longer it goes on, the nastier it's getting. If you're Tony Khan, do you just be like, this ain't worth the damn headache and just let the guy go already? I mean, what were you doing here? You know? Is there a reason to put up with this? Like, is it worth the squeeze, the headache to be like, no, you ain't going nowhere?
You gotta go, and pretty soon you're going to stand on the organization stand where you gotta go and let that be somebody else's headache. Now, the more that he does talk, that might hurt him for his next job than it does staying at his current job. So let that be somebody else's problem. You'll come out with your statement. You'll come out with your, your company policy or what you've done or what you didn't do. You'll say that later, but you just got to let him go just to get rid of it, because what you don't want to do is have an uproar, kind of like what you're doing, because you got Ricky Starks there too, right? Who's wanting to get out his contract, and you don't know what he's doing. Now you're getting repeated wrestlers who are complaining that they want to leave, but you're holding them. Now it's like, oh, this is the place that we wanted to go. We wanted to leave WWE to come here, but when we get here, this is not what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
you're holding on to us, and like you're not letting us go, and we're not happy. You didn't you didn't go on your promise. This is going to do more damage to you, AEW, if you keep him. But you got to do what's best for you. You got to do what's best for you.
Honestly, I think the only thing to do right now is a buyout. Just buy out the remaining days of the contract. Give him a no-compete clause.
Yep.
Because it's going to get worse on both sides. Remember when AEW started and everyone was all pro Tony Khan? Oh, he's the anti-Vince and this, that, and the third. He's doing very Vincey things when it comes to like this situation. It just seems petty. Now, I'm not saying Ray's right to be going off on social media, or even if he has a social media team, don't do that. Please stop doing that. Because it may jeopardize, like you said, Silas, it may jeopardize the deal that they may already have with WWE
exactly
upon leaving. But what is the point? And I believe also because Ricky Starks was recently on Chris Van Vliet talking about, I'm still in a contract, but they don't want to use me. That's all he could say.
Yeah.
Right? That's all he really could say. Ray, on the other hand, was like, no, y'all medically took me for granted. Then let me see a doctor. It's very Punk staph infection, back in WWE time.
Yep.
And I think at this point, Tony doesn't need any more malcontents, because he's done a pretty good job recently of annexing malcontents. Might as well just keep doing that. Now, I get he may not want to keep setting that precedent of all you got to do is talk trash about me in the media and I'm going to get rid of you, but you're not using him. He's going to sit home getting paid. Just buy out the contract like another sports do and just let him be a free agent. And it's just what I hope for AEW, do not use this as an angle like when they showed the Punk footage to get somebody else over. Or don't bring him in for one day to get him squashed on television like Ricochet when Braun Breaker destroyed him through a plate glass window. Don't do that. Just let the man go.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Let my people go.
Basically, I was thinking about that. Prince of Egypt. Let my people go. Exactly.
I had to look because I was like, when was the last time he wrestled? So his last match was July 26, 2024.
Oh my God.
That was in CMLL. That wasn't even AEW. God, so if we go to AEW, it was the 20th. That weekend, he wrestled Tony Nese on Collision on July 20th.
He still works there?
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Apparently, back in July, he did, apparently.
Wow.
So July, so we're at August, September, October, November. It's been 5 months. 5 months at this point. So he has not been seed for a long time. So he is not fresh off your TV. He has not been around.
Right.
So the thing is, like, y'all mentioned how this has become an ongoing thing. CM Punk and his issues that he had.
Yep.
Ricky Starks trying to show up a game changer. And then they're putting the kibosh on that. And Ricky Starks not being used. Hell, for even longer. For him, it's all the way back to the spring.
Right.
And him making it clear he don't want to be there, but his hands are tied. The perception of this, like you said, at the beginning of this whole, when this whole thing started, like, this wasn't going to be like WWE. They were going to be locking people in the warehouse down in Florida. And here we are now, years later, and it's that kind of deal where it's like, nope, you got to ride out that contract. I mean, remember when Mustafa Ali was getting the whole free Mustafa treatment?
Yep.
And all that when WWE had him under lock and key. This whole locking wrestlers up thing never works well perception wise, no matter who the company is. I think the big problem here is just you have the 3 instances in a row. You have the CM Punk situation, you got the Ricky Stark situation. Now you got this. It's become too much of a repeating theme, really close together to where now it's souring people. It's a turnoff. And people are just like, what's going on down there? Why are they being like this? And I get people keep making the point. Damian said, you don't want to set the precedent that, our contracts don't mean nothing. You can get out of them, start a fight and you'll get out of here, say something online, I'll let you out of the deal or whatever, and that there's ways to get out of it. I mean, I get that, but at the same time, I'm looking at it like this. We're at the end of 2024. Long gone are the days of where AEW and WWE were battling neck and neck.
Yep.
They are not close anymore. It ain't like that. This is not a heated battle. The whole, challenger brand Burger King versus McDonald's thing, that needs to go because that ain't the reality anymore.
Yep.
They are not in a competitive situation, and there is no quick fix to that anymore. So I think the number one thing they need to concentrate on is doing their own thing, rebuilding, finding, restoring the feeling or however you want to put it. But letting Rey Fenix go and him showing up on WWE with Pentagon ain't going to be some huge game changer for WWE. They're going to be doing the same stuff. They're still going to be just as hot. It isn't going to change a damn thing because they might come into NXT. They might come in like it's like the Motor City Machine Guns showing up, a month ago.
Yep.
It was cool, but it's no big deal. It's not a game changer. It's a cool little thing that happens, but let's be realistic here. Those guys showing up, the Lucha Brothers showing up on WWE TV is not going to be some big difference maker. This ain't Cody showing up at WrestleMania. Just let it happen. It is what it is. Get the headache out of your locker room. Get the perception over. Just the sooner you wash your hands of it and have it done, the better it'll be. It's going to be a nasty split at this point, no matter how you do it.
Yep.
So just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off, let him out of there, and move on with your life. That's my opinion. It's just
I'm with you.
It's just it's what it is. It's frustrating to me because I was like, why are you going through all this headache? And now that you say, and this guy's up online, it's like, dude, just let it go. Yep. Just let it go. It ain't gonna it ain't gonna hurt your company any more than this shit's hurting having all this happening out there. So that's my feelings on it. I don't know. Any other thoughts, guys, as we're almost at our hour?
No, on this, no. I think the thing that came to me now, like we're ending the show, is the return of the old Tony Storm. I brought this up to someone online yesterday. I said she needs a third character to be the 3 faces of Tony, just like Foley, because we don't know if this is going to be just a one-time thing, a sometime thing. Because I know recently she said she retired as Timeless, but I kind of like the thought of her just having, what is the word I'm looking for? She's going to have like all these different gimmicks that she wants to try. Remember when Charlie Haas tried like 17 gimmicks?
Yes.
Right.
To see if one would get over. I like this version of Tony Storm, the original Tony Storm that we all saw at the Mae Young Classic. Good. Bring that back. If that's the one that's got to get down and dirty with Mariah to get the title back, that's fine. Yep. Just my little wrinkle. Give her a third gimmick so we can have the 3 faces of Tony. Just because I think it would be interesting.
I brought this up online earlier today. I was like, I want the story to be in kayfabe that in the time she was gone the past couple months while she was disappeared, that her docs figured out the meds. They got her all figured out. They finally figured out the cocktail that balances things out so that she's not like living in her black and white reality with her delusions. but that could come back at any time if she stops taking her meds. You know, make it very clear that that's her warped sense of whatever, and she's okay right now. They got it figured out, but leave that crack in the door that it can happen again. That can be brought back. It can be her version of, Finn Balor's demon or whatever, different stuff like that.
I like that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was fun. And I think I know we had mentioned this on one of the previous shows when we were talking about the Mariah May feud and how they hadn't brought her back. The timeless Tony's, it run its course. It was time to change it up. They had really milked that gimmick for all it was worth. And it's definitely one, circle back to it down the road. But we need a break from it. We need a break from it. The timing was right from it. All right. Let's wrap this thing up. This has been a crazy night tonight. So let me run down all the stuff here since I didn't get to open the show. I got to remember all the stuff here. All right. Normally, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. We were late tonight, but normally Thursday nights, 8 p.m., your Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast is streaming live, Twitch, Twitter, X, everything app. That's what they call it. X,
is that what
anything
it's called?
app. That's I think that they try to call it. I still always call it Twitter. But streaming on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, live streaming 8 p.m. Thursday nights. Afterwards, the video feed lives on YouTube. So if you're looking for the video version, YouTube has it. Podcast version drops the next day on all your favorite podcast platforms. So we got you covered for audio and video. On social media, it's at Big Gold Belt across the board. On X, on Instagram, on Blue Sky. Got it all covered at Big Gold Belt on all of those. And of course, the website, biggoldbelt.com, wrestling, movies, comics, and more. Your one-stop shop for entertainment. As we wrap things up, Damian, I will give it to you tonight. What are you watching this week? Not non-wrestling. Do we want to keep the entertainment stuff in it? What's keeping you entertained this week?
I hate to admit this, but because I like bad movies.
Okay.
I'm gonna go see Kraven the Hunter.
Really?
Because
the review is up on the site.
The review is up on the site for one.
Yeah.
Number two, it can't be as bad as Morbius and Madam Web. So you know what? And I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. And Kraven has been one of my favorite villains in all time. And this is the last movie in the Sony Spider-Verse.
Yep.
Right.
So do we leave
no
with
more
a bang
of those
or a whimper? So I'm going to be watching Kraven the Hunter this weekend.
There you go. There you go. Like I just said, review is up on the website. 2 Chains, I think, dropped it 2 nights ago. So biggoldbelt.com. If you're looking for that, it's also on the YouTube channel. So full coverage of Kraven the Hunter here at Big Gold Belt Media. We got you covered on that. Wrestling, movies, comics, and more. Folks, thank you for bearing with us tonight. It was a bit of a bumpy ride to get started, but we made it through. We'll be back next Thursday night. Watch some Saturday night's main event this weekend, and we'll talk about it next week as we're on our road to the holidays. And until then, we will see you later.
Are you a fan of all things media? Are you a fan?